Today's presentation will focus on the modernization of IBM mainframe applications, and more specifically on the web enabling of IBM mainframe applications. Let's start with a very brief overview of the different modernization alternatives. They include redeveloping, replacing, front-ending, rehosting, and web enabling. On one end of the application modernization spectrum are redeveloping and replacing. They both result in new application functionalities, new user and application interfaces, and new application code, which makes them the high-risk, high-duration, and high-cost alternative. On the opposite end of the spectrum is web enabling. It results in new web user and application interfaces, but it retains the application's functionalities, and it doesn't impact the application code, which makes it the low-cost, low-duration, and low-risk alternative. When it comes to IBM mainframe application modernization, web enabling is the high-value, early return on investment alternative. Our Virtel Web Suite, which will be discussed throughout the rest of this presentation, is a comprehensive product line to web-enable IBM mainframe applications. With Virtel Web Suite, the same web-enabling technology comes in 3 different configurations. The base configuration is referred to as Virtel Web Access, and it functions as a thin client browser-based 3270 terminal emulator. Virtel Web Modernization replaces the application screen user interface with a modern and user-friendly web user interface. And Virtel Web Integration connects mainframe and web applications through interactive bidirectional web, message, or email services. Virtel covers the entire web enabling scope. With Virtel Web Access, you can eliminate the TN3270 connections and client applets and access the application screens directly from a web browser without any plugin or extension. Virtel Web Access relies on HTTP, HTML5, and JavaScript technology. With a cascading style sheet, you can give this new user interface the look of a web portal, although without any web portal smarts at that stage. Then with Virtel Web Modernization, you can add to the new user interface the smarts of a web portal by replacing unassisted data entry with widget-based data entry. For example, selection lists, checkboxes, graphical calendars, and other such widgets. Those widgets come from the JavaScript framework of your choice. Then, using Ajax technology, you can add to the new web interface new features and functionalities that do not exist in the legacy screen user interface. For example, autosuggest, autocomplete, PDF generation, and email generation. And you can aggregate into the new web interface data coming from mainframe applications with data coming from remote server applications. And the screens, after the screens have been replaced by web pages, they can be replaced by COM areas to bypass the presentation layers of the transaction server, which improves the performances and reduce the CPU consumption. Meanwhile, with Virtel Web Integration, you can create interactive bidirectional connections between mainframe and web applications. Those connections can be made of one-time or reusable web services, message services, or email services. For some, the long-term objective will be to design and develop a new breed of hybrid applications that rely on interactive processing between web and mainframe applications. And Virtel can also support this type of evolution. So how does Virtel work? a transaction server runs under ZOS or ZVSE. The transaction programs interface with users via 3270 screens. Those screens are exchanged with the users via VTAM SNA connections. Virtel runs as a started task on the ZOS or VSE system. It intercepts the VTAM SNA connections using a VTAM relay. Behind the VTAM relay is a communication protocol and data conversion engine which interfaces between mainframe and web technologies. Behind the conversion engine is an IP server which manages the TCP/IP connections with the client devices. At runtime, Virtel relies on scenarios for the user interface business logic and on templates for the user interface layout and presentation. Those components guide the conversion of 3270 screens into standard HTML5 JavaScript web pages, which, despite being web pages, look and behave exactly as 3270 screens. Those web pages can be rendered by any web browser running on any web-enabled device. And this is the base configuration of Virtel, which is referred to as Virtel Web Access. Now look, the same exact product, except with customer-developed scenarios and customer-developed templates, can convert the same application screens into a modern and user-friendly graphical user interface thanks to the insertion of widgets and AJAX features. The GUI development is done with two IDEs called Virtel Studio and Virtel Screen Redesigner. And this next configuration is referred to as Virtel Web Modernization. Now, with yet another type of customer-developed scenarios and templates, the same Virtel product can create an interactive bidirectional interface between the screens and the web in the form of incoming or outgoing web, message, or email services. And this last configuration is referred to as Virtel Web Integration.